Welcome to the show. We'd like you all to know we're very, very thankful that you're here. We can leave you feeling numb, but now the week is almost done. So open up those big old hearts and open up your ears. 'Cause there's a special delivery for all you special freaks and norms and nerds. There's a special delivery, stuff that you'll be happy that you heard. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We got the sound working. Everything good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a great show today. A very special show. My friend Victoria Ruiz is here, legendary front woman of the Downtown Boys and Malportado Kids, and my friend from Providence, Rhode Island, where we lived together for many years. So this is a more or less the 1 year anniversary of the beginning of our show. Yeah, it's great. And I played this song that I'm about to play on the a year ago, not today, but it used to be on about a year ago. But also Victoria is a character in this song, so I'm going to sing it. Gets me dancing for a little while, and a little weed would let us watch TV and piece together as the afternoon would fade into the evening. But as you're holding me tonight, there's something that's not right. I should be high by now, but I don't feel a thing. These drugs aren't working show me that I haven't seen. Feels like we've been here before, and it's no fun anymore, and it's too late now to start over new. And though it's dark in this room, I see your face glowing blue by the shadows on the TV screen. These drugs aren't working that have gone stale. And I've been racking my brain to write a better refrain, something romantic I might whisper to you, but I got nothing because it's like I told you, these drugs aren't working the way that they used to. Now Victoria's a sorcerer, she don't believe in magic anymore. Night after night, from town to town, she packs clubs and tears them down and leaves her heart still beating on the floor. Oh, Dougie, what's the use, she says, my love's a flood that never ends, and I fear I may be slowly disappearing. I say we lead such different lives, and it ain't exactly great advice, but if you want, this song is yours to sing. These drugs aren't working the way that they used to. There's nothing they show me that I haven't seen. Feels like we've been here before, like I told you, the drugs aren't working the way that they used to. No, I got nothing because it's like I told you, the drugs aren't working the way that they used to. Two of my friends are getting married this weekend. Or, no. Wait, forget that. They've been married, and they're having their nuptials. They're having a party. They're having a party in Florida. I'm going to sing a couple songs. Been learning these really lovey-dovey marriage songs that are great. And one of them is this song by Percy Sledge called Cover Me. And I love it. How are we doing on time? I feel like I kind of rushed through that one. Fine? All right. Cover me, cover me. Spread your precious love all over me. Oh, can't you see? Need me. Cover me, oh, cover me. Hide me, hide me. Where no other love can find. Hide me, oh hide me. Girl, my love for you gets stronger every day. And though temptation might be waiting around the way, and I get lost, and I get led astray, hide me, find me. It's every little tear that binds me. So I'm feeling cold. Find me, oh find me. Stay with me. Stay with me, baby, make it all the way with me. Can't you see the need in me? Oh, stay with me, oh, stay with me. Cover me, cover me. Spread your precious love all over me. Oh, can't you see? That was Cover Me by Percy Sledge. So it's September. Fall. Started thinking a lot about death. Not in a bad way. I feel like in a healthy way. You can start to think about it. Leaves start falling down. It's because they're dead. Piggybacking on that, I went to a Willie Nelson show on 9/11. Right. I went to a Willie Nelson show on 9/11, and I was nervous I'm a huge fan of his, and I have been for a really long time. And I was nervous that he. So we got these tickets, and it's like, oh, we're gonna go. And it's 9/11, and and I like wasn't sure because we've actually talked about 9/11 before on the show. I think roughly a year ago, in September, and I think it obviously was a big deal. But it obviously was a big deal. But also in country music, it was a really big deal too because, like, I mean, what am I trying to say here? So it was a local tragedy, and then on the day it was a local tragedy, and then sort of from that it snowballed into this like national and then international tragedy, and it was used as it was sort of co-opted by all kinds of malicious forces as an excuse to commit all kinds of more violence. Anyway, but also in country music, it was like this weird opportunity to sort of flex your nationalism, and I don't know, like I feel like 9/11 was like the best thing that ever happened to Toby Keith, who like wrote that terrible song about like whatever, which is also a really catchy song, but it's a terrible song. And so anyway, that being the backdrop of my feelings, I was a little nervous about going to see Willie Nelson and like kind of seeing him in Queens and on 9/11 and wondering if he was going to be cool about it. And he was. He like, I don't know, I think I was talking to somebody afterwards and they were like, yeah, it's not often that people address it in a public way that sort of gives reverence to it as this like local tragedy and not this like national tragedy. And I think Willie Nelson did a really good job of just being like, thank you, Queens, and thank you, like, I know this is like a heavy day for you guys. Thank you to Queens, and thank you to the first responders. And then he played Can the Circle Be Unbroken, which is I don't know, it's like almost such a ubiquitous song that it doesn't even, like, until at that time, it hadn't even, like, really fully landed with me, because it's like, this land is my land, or, like, anything that you hear so often that you kind of forget what it means. And so he played this song, and, I don't know, it was just very moving. So I'm going to play it. It was, I think, popularized by the Carter family, but was written a long time before they ever got to it. It's just like a really old, I think it's an American song, a religious song, but it's kind of like, like Christian in that way, where it's like, it's just not super Christian. Or it's just kind of like, everybody can get down. All my waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Well, I told the Undertaker, please drive slow. For the body that you're hauling, Lord, I hate to see her go. Can the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Well, I follow close behind them, tried to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they put her in her grave. Can the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Can the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Cool. Okay, I'm done.
You should play that last song at the wedding. Really throw people off their game. Do you like weddings?
I do. I mean, I've only been to 3
Ever or this year?
ever.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
This is my 4th wedding. So yeah, I really like them.
You are so lucky. All of everyone I've ever met has gotten married in the last 2 years. And
Does that make me lucky?
yeah, these people should go fuck themselves. I have to like travel places. I have to section off whole weekends to go like sit in a barn, watch these people confess their love for each other. It sucks. I don't like it. I like weddings in general, like abstract, they're fine. But modern weddings I'm not down with.
I kind of feel like I like that, you know?
Where are these people getting married?
I'm going to Tampa Bay, which is home of the groom.
See, this is why, I mean, congratulations to your friends. I hope they stay married forever and their love is eternal, blah, blah, blah. I hate having to, like, quantify how much I love a couple. Like, do I $345 buy United plane ticket love you?
That's crazy. That's more or less exactly what I...
Yeah, that's what all plane tickets are. It's all the same shit. Are they? Where's the party? What type of venue is it?
It's at a beach. I'm so excited.
Well,
I have to get like linen pants or something. I don't know. I like don't have. I have jeans and I have shorts, but I like don't want to wear shorts anymore.
You should show up in like either a full-on scuba suit. Or just go full lifeguard, like board shorts, that little like blue cream down your nose.
I feel like no one would notice.
I don't know. I guess the beach is fine for a wedding. The big trend, all of my friends, and if you're one of my friends who got married in a barn, I'm not talking about you, but all the weddings I've been going to have been in fucking barns. I just like, why am I like in a suit where a cow shit 2 days ago? This sucks. I hate love. I don't know. I don't know about this love thing.
Yeah, for the record, I love love, but I hear you.
Well, see, I used to love love. but I had to buy like 3 plane tickets. Now I'm like indifferent about it.
Fair enough.
So Victoria's going to be on the show tonight in a matter of minutes. That song you sang, how you feeling about drugs now? Pro, con?
In general, con. I kind of feel like I could probably stand to transition. I feel like it would be healthier for me to drink less and smoke more marijuana. Now that marijuana is a thing that like is really dialed in, and like you can buy it, like you can like get your amounts right. I feel like when I was smoking, it was just like I would get it, and I would get high, and every time it was just like a little different, and almost all the time I was really upset. So, I think probably if I could find a way to do that where I wasn't upset, but I could still get the kind of comfort that I get from drinking instead of drinking, probably for the best.
Do you do drugs for fun or comfort?
Comfort.
Cool. Well, I'm not going to investigate that any further. Victoria, do you want to come up and we can talk now? Okay, cool. Hey, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So, your band, Danton Boys, good band, popular band. Does it feel like it's like a successful band for you? This is a really dumb question I always want to ask people, but I never feel like the empowerment to be like, does it feel like you're doing a good job? Does it feel like you're doing a good job?
I think that it feels like we've done all that we can, and because that's true, it feels like a good job.
How do you know? Wait. Does it feel good to feel like you've done all you can? Because from a artistic standpoint, that feels like it could be depressing. But from a personal standpoint, like if God opened up the sky and was like, Jordan, you did everything you can, I'd be like,
Oh, it feels like, sorry, I should make it present tense. We're doing everything we can.
Oh, well, God.
Yeah. So I think, everything you can shifts and changes. Sometimes it's a lot. Sometimes it's a little. And there's not always like linear or exponential like what you can do. And so it feels like whenever we're doing it, that's we're being true to what we can do. At that moment.
Is that a personal judgment?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, are there people telling you that there's like a linear thing and you could be doing more?
Oh no. Capitalism, I think, tells us there's like a linear thing. So it's like you could keep going on tour, you could keep recording, you could always be on some sort of, cycle. But I don't think we never set out for that. And we everything that happened was like by chance. So like we'll still play shows where maybe we make like a little bit of money, and then maybe we have to pay to play because like the van breaks down and we're only getting paid like $85 and like so and I like the ups and downs, like the ebbs and flows, but there are certainly other ways of doing it.
This is your first band, right?
This is my very first band.
How old were you when you joined the band?
I was 23.
Why would you join a band at 23?
So it was September. It was the 21st of September. That's my grandma's birthday. It was a different night in September. I think it was September 10th. But it was in September as well. September is a heavy month. And I think I was like really overwhelmed by, this sounds really stupid, but I graduated college during a recession, which I think is now like fair to say. And I moved to Providence because this person G-chatted me and was like I had talked to him like 3 times in college, like actually. And like that song by Jay-Z, like the one that's like, in New York, you'll finally find out what dreams are made of. like that was popular on the radio. And I was reading this book called Delirious in New York, and I was like my mom is we both like kind of keep a lot of physical items, and I was like, I found a space on the couch to just be like, I need to move back to New York. And he G-chatted me and was like, you should move to Providence. And like, I don't have any friends here, and I'm just G-chatting everyone, telling them to move here. And I was like, okay, I'll move. And so then I think I was like really overwhelmed in Providence. There were people like Dougie Poole who literally you meet and they're like, I know we lead such different lives, but if you want, this song is yours to sing. Like, that's a real offer in Providence. And I don't think there's anywhere else that that happens. So there was this offer of just being able to be in a band. And I was like, of course, obviously.
Did you want to be in a band, or did it just happen?
No, I mean, I wanted to be in a band. There was this, there was a band called Downtown Boys, and I had learned how to screen print in college. And then I had screen printed a bunch of their merch and designed their logo. And it was like a mix of like La Virgen, the Guadalupe, like with all the roses, and a union shield, the American Textiles Union shield, which the ATU was founded in Rhode Island. And then like a font that I had made up. And I had just been like churning out these patches and stuff. And the band, people in the band would always be like, Victoria, like, are you ready? And they just meant to go sell the patches. But like,
and you just like grab the mic.
Well,
you're
yeah,
like,
just
born
like,
ready.
okay, like $1, like,
yeah.
But then like friends of mine would always be like, oh, we thought that they meant like to be in the band, as if that was like such a far-fetched idea. And I think I was like delirious from like working an overnight shift in a hotel one day, and I was like, why can't I be in the band? And then I texted Joey, who had like founded Downtown Boys, Joey DeFrancesco. I was like, can you like help me find people to play music with? Which now is like such a crazy thing to think about. And he was like, I can't do that. I don't have time. And the only people I know who will play music are in Downtown Boys. Like, you should just be in Downtown Boys.
Sick. Did you want to be a musician?
My whole life.
Why didn't you?
Well, I tried. Like, my mom really hustled to get me piano lessons. That was like a huge fiasco. She had to like not pay the electricity bill to pay for the piano lessons. That was a big ordeal. I was like, we don't need electricity. Like, we're never home.
Was it an electric piano or was it a regular piano?
We got a electric piano from Costco that I still have. And I tried, and in high school, I tried to learn music. I played clarinet. I tried to be in a band, but I just like wasn't around people.
Did you know all the laborious bullshit that came with being in a band when you joined one?
Oh, no. But I knew the laborious bullshit of being in a family. Which I'm very appreciative for, and I think they're truly like very similar skills.
There's Malportado, which is you and Joey, correct?
Yes,
for the most part. So Downtown Boys, with the exception of like a side project, which is like a smaller version of Downtown Boys, is kind of the only band you've been in. Mm-hmm. How did you know that band worked for you? Like, when you're in the moment, what lets you know that this is what you should be doing?
Honestly, there have been shows, some people here, like, have been at those shows where there's, like, 2 people in the audience. And so, truly, if there's one person there, that lets you know. And there have been shows where I can think of one show where there was actually no one. And just looking at each other and being like, this is crazy that this happened.
Do you have show nightmares? I haven't like actively booked a ton of shows in a while, but I still have show nightmares.
Oh yeah, I have show nightmares.
What's your show nightmare? Mine is that it's a show and nobody's at it, and then one of the other people involved just turns to me and they're like, do we have to do this? And it's never happened. And I feel like it might actually happen one day. But that's my big nightmare, is that like there's like this invisible momentum that just keeps the facade of an event up. And the moment somebody is just like, we don't have to do this, it all just comes crumbling down. Yeah. And you're like, I don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
What's your nightmare?
There's two. There's one where Joey decides he's not going to play this show. Because that would be a nightmare. Because he writes the music. And then there's another where someone just comes on the stage and is like, you can't play. Get off of the stage. With like
a big wooden hook. And just drags you off.
But there's none where there's no one. If no one comes, that's not a nightmare to me. That's just life.
What's it like going on a tour where it's like the tour where you're going from nobody coming to see you play to strangers? Not your friends, strangers.
That happens. I mean, that's every tour. And so the first big tour we went was with EMA, Eric Henry Anderson, who's a really amazing electronic musician, really great musician. And it was her record release, her band's record release. And, you know, they kind of like had come up through an independent scene, got signed to, I think, Matador. And we were like their opener and getting paid like, I think $100 a night, something like that. And so many of the shows just had no one. And we didn't care. We were like, wait, $100 a night, like free drink tickets. We were like stoked. I remember like one night being in like Nashville, and like Future Islands was playing like 5 blocks down, and there were literally like hundreds of people like oozing out of the venue, and I couldn't believe that I got to hear them from outside the venue. Like I was like, I can't believe
so stoked you got to play down the street
from Future Islands. Like I was like freaking out. I like trying to explain it to people, and people were like, that's not like a feat, dude. Like, but I thought it was insane. I was like, this is like, it's like no one in my family's ever been to Nashville. This is like crazy. Like, but then we'd go to shows where they'd be sold out. Like, you know, she played New York and stuff like that. And I was like, how does one go from like playing to 5 people to like 1,000? Like it was really crazy to me. So, but then I realized, oh, that's every tour. Like, you know, that you play at least at any tour I've ever played has kind of been that way. And then even my friends who play like sold out shows every night on their tours, you know, there's another part of their life where there's no one there. So
yeah, but there's like a moment where you see the thing you made reflected back at you by people that aren't your friends.
Oh yeah.
What's that feel like? Because I feel like that's a thing that, like, I know a ton of people who are successful, but they still kind of only see the stuff they made reflected to them by their friends.
The feeling is sort of like when you go to the beach and you're like, wow, this is so beautiful. This is so great. And then you begin to walk into the water and you're like, this is amazing. So like strangers, people you don't know appreciate you. And then you get to a certain point in the water where the tide gets heavy and it's deep and you're not sure how far much more you can walk out there. And that's what the feeling becomes. So it's like a progression where it eventually gets pretty scary because...
What's scary about it?
Because people actually strangers will end up wanting more from you than you can ever give. And that happens in everything, right? Like, I think I believe in a lot of like faith or Buddhism, or, you know, I believe in a lot of people or ideas. And I think I put so much credence in them. But it's not like I've ever communicated with a lot of the musicians I'm obsessed with or believe in. And I think that being on the other side of that for a very small amount of people, but it is scary. It's amazing and it's sort of exhilarating and there's a high. And then it's almost like doing, like what Doug was saying about marijuana. It's like you don't quite know the strain you're getting in every person. And so it can also be really scary, and you wonder if you're the person that should be singing to them.
Do you think you know your fans more than they know you?
No. No, there are a lot of musicians who do, and they're really good at that. And that's why they'll be able to do it for the rest of their lives. But I don't.
Do you think you're on like a limited amount of time?
I think that I'm a little bit crazy. Like I'm a little bit, I need to figure out how to like slow my roll when it comes to thinking. I sit alone with my thoughts too much, and for that I'm on a limited amount of time. But if I can figure it out, I think I can do it forever. And I know I'll always be a musician and an artist.
You are currently going to school to be a lawyer, correct?
I am.
Is that a thing that you decided to do as an alternative to music, or is it a thing to do in tandem with music?
No, I was a social worker at a public defender, so and then I asked for 4 weeks off to go on tour, and they were like, fuck no. And I had to leave that job, but I knew I always wanted to be a public defender. Like, so that was that EMA tour. So yeah, I knew I always wanted to do this. And I think a lot of people do both. There's this amazing fiction writer named Sergio de la Pava, he wrote this amazing book called A Naked Singularity. And he's like out here, like he's writing and making movies, and he even plays music. And he's also a public defender. Like, so I think you can do many things. And like Paul Robeson, another person, like Paul Robeson was an amazing singer, and he was a communist, and he was a lawyer, and he was a playwright. There's this amazing YouTube where he's on trial for being a communist labor organizer, and the judge says, did you get these people to take this action because you're a member of the Communist Party? And he says, no, I did it because I'm a singer, and I'm a good singer, and I sang to my brothers and sisters. And I think that you can be kind of many things. But
how do you know how much of you gets allotted to each of those things that you are?
I think however much is necessary, and I think that I only am close.
Necessary for you or the people around you?
For the people around me. And I think for music, it's like been pretty, it's been, you're in a relationship with your bandmates. And so it's kind of like you communicate and draw boundaries and figure things out as time goes.
Do you have to ask the people you're in a band with, like, what they're trying to get out of the band? Or do you just all know?
We feel it. We know. Yeah, we know. I think there are people, I think myself included, where we know, if we wanted to be in a band or a project that was paying the rent every month, that's going to look super different than Downtown Boys, or than Malportado Kids did. But because of Downtown Boys, we kind of, it's almost like going to school. Like you learn a bunch of skills.
Yeah, but the way it's not like going to school is school has grades where you start and end a grade at the same exact time as all the people you are allotted with. And that is not how life works. What do you do in a band when one person wants to go graduate to the next grade and the other people don't want to or aren't ready? What makes a good band? Is it that you're all just in sync to the same thing, or do you have to communicate these things? I mean,
Joey's the only original Downtown Boy, and he would say he and I are the only original Downtown Boys. So I think the answer is obvious. People leave when they don't want to keep going.
That's I don't know if this is a universal experience, but my experience with collaborating with people is determining when somebody should leave or even wants to leave is very hard to do.
Oh, it's so hard.
It's like breaking up with people. You can't, the time between in somebody's head when they're like, I need to quit doing this. If you map out a timeline, one end is when they start, one end is when they begin, and then you have to map when they first thought this probably isn't for me. It's normally somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that a scary thing, or is that just a part of doing it?
It's so scary. I think, Joey has another band called La Neve that's just Joey, and it's been really crazy for people to be like, when's the next Downtown Boys record? And in my head, I'm like, I live in New York. Like, I could make, like, I'm down to, like, make another, I'm so reckless. I'm a reckless person. And Joey's not as reckless as I am. I'm not negligent, though, but I'm pretty reckless. And he's like, well, I need to finish this thing, man. Like, I need to, like, focus on this. And that's scary to be like, oh, yeah, like, I decided to go to school. I moved to California for a few years. I was in like a really heavy relationship where I thought I was going to like get married. Like I was in I chose all these other things over, kind of pedal to the meddling the band. And, so it's hard. It's not, scary, or it's not like irrational, but it's definitely hard to be like, oh yeah, you have to like, you're in an organism, and like each person is like the mitochondria, like the nucleus, the cell lining, and you have to all communicate with each other.
Yesterday we talked on the phone.
Yes.
And I asked you a question. I asked you if there's been any like conflict or hardship in switching from a small independent record label to a bigger record label. You're on Sub Pop now.
Yeah. And
you had a really good answer. You said that, and I'm paraphrasing very loosely, but that the hardest part about it is having to constantly explain to people that it hasn't really been that hard and that it's not a big deal. Yeah. Your band is very intentional in both like how it operates and its politics. I feel like one of the when you do something very intentionally versus somebody like Shawn Mendes, or I'm trying to think of like what somebody who's just like a pop star who does the thing a pop star is supposed to do and just plays the game as written in the rules by other people. When you're intentional about one thing, it kind of opens up every decision that would just be assumed as natural for everyone else. You then need to explain why you did everything, and you're held accountable for every decision you make, whereas other people are not held accountable for every decision they make. And it's like a weird binary where one door you just don't explain anything you do and then nobody questions you, and the other door you are intentional about some things and then need to constantly be accountable for everything you do. Mm-hmm. Why not just like do the first door?
Mm-hmm. I mean, part of it's a choice, and then part of it's just kind of like there's just too many people who like have expressed to me, especially like young Latinx people who just have expressed to me, both people who only ever found out about the music because of Sub Pop, or only ever found out about the music because of Don Giovanni, or only ever found out about the music because of like a Selena cover, but nevertheless will express that they read or they heard something that we said, and that it meant so much to them. And so it's sort of like, damn it, like it's like you have to kind of choose to answer where you can, and obviously you can't. Sometimes you don't even know the questions you're being asked. You can't always answer, but you have to. I always will choose that because there's always someone who's listening ultimately, even if it's just your memory, and so that's why I think.
Do you think there's like an alternative to that binary? Like, because it feels like the way things are currently set up, okay, here's a real life example. I got really mad at Kickstarter over the weekend because they fired 2 people who were trying to organize a union there. Got very mad at Kickstarter. General Motors is also in a giant fight with their union. I am way less mad at General Motors because I know General Motors doesn't give a shit what I think about them because it's not a transparent company, and I can actually, for my individual effort, I can influence Kickstarter more than I can General Motors.
Totally.
Or at least that's how I perceive it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I feel like I'm in a situation where I know I can't affect the things that are way worse than the things that are near me, but I can affect the things that are near me, which are better than the things far away from me. Is there a way around that?
That's a great question. I mean, ultimately, there's a family that their mom and dad works for General Motors, and they're like fucking pissed right now, and they don't even know what Kickstarter is. And so I think like there's also that part of it too. Like, you know, we all can figure out how to hold our stride with like anger and gratitude and realizing we have both of those emotions, because whatever space it is, we actually have agency there. Like, you probably give to Kickstarter. Like, you know people who probably work there. You know people whose stuff was funded because of it. And so, like, you have agency there. And so I think this is funny. My professor, who's part of why I got to stay in New York, she wrote me, like, a letter to be able to go to classes here right after I got dumped. She wrote me this thing, and she was like, you know, sometimes the only way out of it is through. And I really appreciated that. And I thought she was going to say, like, you know, why are you running away? Like, all these different things. She's like, the only way is through. And I think it's like that with anything else. So it's like with Kickstarter, to cancel it, to try and go around it, probably isn't going to work for you, right? Like, you can just cancel General Motors. Like, you're not probably trying to figure out like how to buy a Cadillac anytime soon. Yeah. But like with Kickstarter, you're going to have to go through it. And so you're going to have to really think about next time a really close friend of yours starts a Kickstarter to get their album off the ground, are you going to give to it or not? Like, you know what I mean? And like, part of the way I do that is thinking about like guerrilla tactics versus organized tactics. So it's like, if there's a real time boycott against Kickstarter where like employees there, artists who have benefited are like calling for something and it's organized, then like that's a harder line for me than when it's just a bunch of people commenting on posts, right? Like, that's not organized. Like, that's people like venting. Yeah. And so like figuring out that, I think, is really important. And then if you're really close to it, like say your bottom line, like your best friend has just gotten fired, you may decide to help organize that. Like, I don't know. And so I think like figuring out how to get through something and realizing that there's like a spectrum of decisions you can be making is really important, and not just going around it, or not just turning back and walking behind you.
Cool. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Do you want to play some music now?
Sure.
Let me move this pile of sunglasses off this stool so you can use it.
So the computer that I'm playing the music on has a delay in everything, and the mouse is broken. So let's see. This song is called Bruja Cosmica. It's about getting with a witch or getting out of here. Bruja Cosmica. Con ella sin huerta, con puerta sin muerta, con vida sin ella, con ellos sin casa, con masa sin menasta, con grasa sin con, 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 sin con. Get with the witch, I get out of here. Get with the witch. I get out of here. Get Cosmica, 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 Cosmica. Thank you. This song is called Fantasma, and it's with a band called Wet Cheer Brigade from Providence, and Don Giovanni actually put out their record with this song. Fantasma means ghost. Fantasma, de cariño, Freddie Fender tape because she heard I really wanted Doug to cover Freddie Fender songs. And she's even making Doug a Freddie Fender tape in hopes that he covers Freddie Fender songs. Oh, yeah. And this song, she taught me about. It's called Como la Flor by Selena. Malportado Kids style. Because music is always stolen.